I hope you've listened and digested it. So we're looking forward to all the questions so we can try to explain some of what's happening. So, questions? Anybody?
The main question I have is, what can we do to stop this breakwater plan? Like, you've described the plan, you've given an alternative, and from what I'm hearing, the plan is set, and that this is what they're planning to do. So how can we stop it and give them the alternative? Or
Okay, we've been told since February that they will not start work until they have a public meeting. We waited very patiently. We've asked them many questions which I haven't answered. So we're now waiting for them to have a public meeting so we can come and address our concerns.
will public meeting be here at the Negril, or is it going to be somewhere in Kingston?
Well, it's supposed to be in Negril because the local stakeholders are supposed to be asked what they want. It's very difficult if they don't really know what's going to take place, and that's why we've decided to explain to people what's going to take place, because they often come with a lot of jargon and scientific information, and they don't really explain to people what the impact will be. And that's why we've had this meeting, so people can understand the impact and make proper decisions.
Okay, Mr. Good. The first thing I would like to know, whose money is going to spend?
The Planning Institute of Jamaica applied to the adaptation fund. That was a fund set up under the United Nations to help third world countries battle climate change. They applied for $10 million US, 5.48 is to be spent here in Negril to build the breakwaters. It's not our money, it's a grant. However, we would prefer to see it spent in another way, not build breakwaters, but through a solution machine.
Okay, so the taxpayer won't have to pay back.
No, it won't be the taxpayers' money. However, your taxes will be paying to fix the roads and all the other issues, and when there's no tourists here and no business here, we'll all suffer. So it's not that we have to pay back for the breakwaters.
Okay, what I expected, I thought that somebody from the National Work Agency would be here. Now that they are not here, what we should do, if we should organize ourselves, let them know that we are not in agreement with this. And if they don't accept what we are saying, we in the group on the hills of Hough, Green Island, and where everybody should gather in the group. Just like what happened in China. Let's get up.
And my question was similar. I was only asking if someone made a proposal for the alternative way.
The authorities are very aware of the protest, that everybody here is against it, that the majority of people here are upset about it. We have been told that we're to expect to be called to a meeting. That was 2 weeks ago. We're still waiting on the date. We're not hearing anything. NEPA has been silent, NWA has been silent. We were on the radio yesterday. They called the NWA engineer, and he said he was driving, he couldn't pull over, he couldn't speak. They all refused to speak.
Most time it's about all the time. So I'm saying, you have a proposal, but the alternative way, what's the name of it again?
The adaptation fund.
The beach nourishment.
Oh, beach nourishment.
if you have a proposal, how much is the alternative way in the other hand to the breakwater system, and it will be cheaper and save some money? There will be a way to come out of this breakwater system.
There is a Dutch company who's in the Caribbean right now who did Gardner on their Curacao, and they're coming here at the end of this month. They've confirmed the date to do a presentation to the community, and they will explain exactly what it would cost and what it would entail. We would save anywhere between $1 to $2 million because they're already here in the Caribbean. It costs between $1 to $2 million just to mobilize them from the Netherlands to come here. It should cost maybe about $5 million to do Long Bay Beach.
Why so much people benefit from Negril and have so much sharing products here? How can they sit and decide and a couple of people in Kingston sit and or all of us here? I'm not saying anything because of how can you do that?
They said they came here. They said they consulted with people. In the environmental impact survey, they said they spoke to people, and they said 65% of the people that didn't know what a breakwater is. Most people in Negril doesn't know what a breakwater is because we don't have any in Negril. In fact, unless you go to Montego and really look what they have there, that's a similar thing to a breakwater, but it's not something we would really even know about. So 75% of the people, 65% said they didn't know what a breakwater is, but they put in the environmental impact assessment that 95% thought it was a good idea. Now, how can you say something is a good idea if you don't understand what it is?
What we Negril call breakwater and breakwater here that we have the
Right.
what we know as a breakwater.
Right, it's exactly, that's a pier really, it's not a breakwater, I know.
Breakwater there.
But they say they came. Some of the fishermen told me that they did come and talk to them, but they said they didn't understand what they were talking about, you know, and they just asked them if they thought it was a good thing, and they said yes. And I think one of the issues, I'm going to bring it up now because I understand it's a big issue with the water sports people and the fishermen people, is that they really want to have the Negril River dredge. And I would really like them to understand that we understand the problems they have in storms and so forth. But really and truthfully, we all make our living off Negril, and they have to understand that, you know, the garbage that is put in the river ends up killing the reef, and that it wasn't there naturally. So I think that they need to lobby the government to find another safe area for them to put their fishing boats. And I would be 100% behind them lobbying for it too. But we have to understand that it wasn't there naturally, and so we need to let nature take its course and start fighting it. Because that river has been dredged 3 times already, and the same sand that we're losing off the beach is what is going back and blocking the river. So it wouldn't make sense. But no, they keep saying they're coming for a public meeting. We've asked them to come, we've asked them questions, they've had select meetings where they invite a few people. And when more people turn up, they're vexed and say, oh, we didn't invite you. So we are trying to get as many people aware as possible, but it has been a very difficult.
They'll have a couple of people in the next election. That's why they have a couple of people. I think when they're going to have the economy when it's close to election, because this is when those people decide what they is here. So let's see what's going to happen there.
Yeah, but I think we need to start taking back our country, and we make the decisions, not a few people in Kingston. We are here with it, you know.
One more thing, please. One more thing, please. I saw this little nice sign downtown, notice of application from the 31st January 2014. This sign stated actually that it stopped the construction. So, you know, my question is now how you want to stop something, even already you say, oh, this is foolishness. But how you want to start something which is in the process already?
It has been stopped. It will start at the end of April, but it has been stopped. So nothing will happen until they hold some form of meeting. No decision has been made. So we just have to keep on letting our voices be heard, keep on protesting, keep on at the media. They're willing to come. There are more people coming on the 19th and the 20th. In fact, somebody from the adaptation fund is coming with a group down here. They'll be doing a site visit on the 20th. And there's also somebody from the PIOJ coming with them.
But you know, it's a legal act to sign on, right? You know,
They have to, by law, put that sign up. It was put up by the NWA to show their intent to do something there on that piece of land.
and then when we look at no mayor here, no chamber of commerce president here, nobody here who have really said, only I have a show in front of that. You know, and I can watch the truck every morning filling up some stones in the water in front of my shop, right? So, but nobody interested in it. Nobody. Only a handful a week who come to that meeting right now. But if you look at Negril, it's way more. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think you all know. I think you all know that at one time there was a very powerful chamber of commerce in Negril. We would say one of the most powerful in the world of West Indies. Shortly, there's going to be a program to come to state to the people of Negril and Negril the achievements in the past of the Negril chamber of commerce. And how many times I've stopped the government of we won at least 2 court cases with the government of preventing and preventing mining peaks in the Morocco bomb. UBC, the most powerful body in Jamaica, we stopped them from when they were knocking the place where sewage plant up there was not good. We made them put it down, and those are only 2 of the simple things that Chamber of Commerce has done. Now, in the past, when things are going well, nobody wants to know about the chamber. What is the chamber doing? What are you doing? Now, the chamber has sought the government for a little while. We are in the process of rebuilding the chamber. And in a short while, we'll be relaunching it and having application for board members. Select board members, not those who have their own interests are, those who have legal advice. And so we want to be aware that when things like this come up, we run about looking for what we're going to do. When you have an organization, then they are in the forefront. They know what's happening and you support. Not when it's getting late. We will have the information and when they come into Negril, places like Chamber of Commerce have to be recognized. And if they come here to do something, they have contracts. But when there's nothing going on, this is what happens. When you have an organization that doesn't function, this is what happens. We must know that you come out and support things in Negril, which is of your interest. But a lot of people don't think it's important. Now, when the stone is falling on our feet, oh, we run around and want to find out what is the chamber doing. When the chamber is there, we must support. I would just like to ask one question. If we can told the company that is going to undertake this breakwater and their track record.
Thank you, Mr. Arthur. Mr. Arthur is one of the founding members of the Negril Chamber of Commerce.
I have to be from the Netherlands, and I just wanted to do this work that you're talking about, and we also did the project on the radio with this building houses were built and stuff like that in this beautiful. I want to make a suggestion, and that is about a petition. I'm sure you have heard about Greenpeace, how we work. And I was thinking if you could make a website and people could sign a petition and they send it forth all over the world, we could get thousands of signatures. And we do have to support each other here because the power is with the people. And we can only manage to accomplish things if we stick together and work together. You know, and that is what we should try to accomplish. You know, they cannot avoid that and neglect that. They have to answer to that, and they will lose. I can guarantee you that.
I'd like to welcome you to Jamaica, and we have spoken to many Dutch companies over the years, and we know they are the world leaders in beach nourishment, and they have been, most of Holland is underwater, so they are experts at protecting coastlines. And to answer your question, yes, we do have a petition out. It's on Avaz. We have a web page called Negril Pulse. Oh, sorry, it's a Facebook page, Facebook page called Negril Pulse, P-U-L-S-E. So everybody's welcome to join. We're posting a lot of information on it, not just about the breakwaters, but about the sea and the beach and how different ways we can ourselves do things to help keep the beach. Simple things like planting a little bit of the original beach grass around your trees on your beach, or planting it down the edge of your property, so that it doesn't affect the beach that your visitors use, but it helps to keep the beach in place and anchor it. So yes, we have done some of the things you suggested.
Yes, and I think, like you said, we were talking about fishermen that they not understand what breakwater is. I think we should also at least give more information and try to get them interested in coming to meetings like this, so that they will be well informed and prepared for next questions by these so-called people who want to push this project through your throat. But that's what they're doing, and it's only about money, and you know that. You know? But Mother Earth is a living being, and everything that we damage, she will get back to you. She will try to repair herself, but she will also strike back. So we have to be very well aware of this.
Yes.
You know, nature is nature, we should stay like that. And we should appreciate what we have and work with it and not against it.
Thank you, yes.
I'll support you. That's for sure. I'll take it back to Holland.
Okay, so Arthur was asking who is responsible for this project and their track record. Hello? Yeah, okay. The only information I have is that the National Work Agency is responsible for sea defense here in Jamaica. And they put out a tender for a company to design and implement the breakwaters. They awarded that contract after the tender process was done to a company called SEAC Solutions. They are the ones who have done work at Palisados. They're civil engineers and environmental engineers. I don't know much more about them. There's nothing on their website to say what other jobs they have done. So that's as much information as I can get. I do not know who would actually do the construction, because they would not be doing it. I understand that there are a few people here who do that sort of thing, tank welders on. It involves people diving, barges with cranes, grapples, or hopper barges. If you read in the EIA that they put on the NEPA website about this project, there was some testing done about the integrity of the structure, University of Delaware, and in that testing, the boulders shifted. And they said we have to be very, very careful and know exactly what we're doing and how they are placed. So I don't think we have that kind of experience, but that's what they would like to do.
And NWA is supposed to be overseeing this project. Just look at our roads. Just look at our roads that they are you can tell? How are you going to know what they're doing in the sea?
I think one of the things I'd like to add to is there's a long history of breakwaters not working, failing, and I think, you know, we have some very well-educated Jamaicans and we're all very proud of them. But I think something like this, when, you know, Negril alone produces 28% of the national budget in tourism. We are the second largest employers of people in Jamaica. We employ over 10,000 people here in Negril. And that's just the official employees, because as we all know, there's a lot of very small businesses who run in Negril too. So it is a massive economic powerhouse for Jamaica. We all know that we're trying to meet the IMF demands, and I don't think Jamaica can really afford to experiment with that kind of income coming into the national coffers. I don't think we can afford it, and I think even if I thought they were going to work, I don't think locking off the West End for a year is economically viable for Jamaica, not just Negril, for Jamaica as a whole. That's my personal opinion.
I'm a fisherman. I'm telling you this. I think they're building bigger than Hough. I can see them there away. Thank you.
And sir, that's why we need more fishermen, because the fishermen, I mean, I didn't say this in the presentation, but the fishermen understand better than anybody else in Negril that when the storms come, the storms from the south do the most damage, and they do the most damage on the southern side of the beach. And every fisherman I've ever spoke to in Negril tells me the same thing. Now, when they came to do their surveys, they only did 1 or 2 months. Now, Negril changes, the tides and the currents changes every day. You can't just come and check it for a month or 2. The fishermen are the people who know all this information. They have years of information in their head. They know this. No, they're protecting the northern section of the beach, right? No, the most devastating section of the beach after storm is the southern section of Negril. So that's one of the questions I want to ask them. Why did they decide to put it there?
But how come the fishermen have no right? Yeah, because even though you say yes, the fishermen are making all that fine. But for real, the fishermen have no point, because each time the fishermen stand up, they come with bulldozer, they push out the place, they wreck the boat, instead of the lead. Imagine over there, so, a few days ago, they mash up the boat, I mean, then tear down everything, then leave the whole facility open, where the fishermen have no chance. It's like we're talking about a standing stone.
I understand the problems you're facing.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things you have to understand too is we have been allowed to develop Negril without any of the rules and regulations being maintained. The hoteliers have broken rules, and some of them built too close to the sea, some of them built too high, some of them built too much on what they're allowed to do. The fishermen also did things wrong. They fixed their boats on the riverside and all the paint and whatever goes into the sea.
Yes,
and kills the reef. So we're all to blame. Not one of us is blameless. We're all to be blamed.
But there are many people and many fishermen who make a report, and they should make a dry dock for the boat to repair. But until now, that have come through, nobody talk about it, this is a giant quad. It's still a giant quad, there ain't nothing going on.
I agree with you. And I think we are now mentioning that one of the problems, we haven't said it today, but I think we're all facing the stark reality, is that we need a representative in government who actually represents us. And this is something, one of the problems we've had in Negril over the many years is that we're neither fish nor fowl. We're neither Hanover and we're neither Westmoreland. No, the problem we have in Negril is that Negril produces all the tax money, most of the tax money for both Hanover and Westmoreland, and yet still we have no say. Because guess what? We're not the capital of neither Hanover nor Westmoreland. Everybody who comes to either of the seats to run, they get the majority of the votes out of Negril. Nobody canvasses in Negril because there's hardly any votes in Negril.
Yeah, well, for me, it's not like a debate, but the point is, I'm saying, you are the one pushing on there, but we are the investors, and when we are there, no, we should be here backing the people about the breakwater. Few of them not here. The Rio, the whatever, all them up the beach, where they are now. They're not in the meeting, they're not put you guys, they're against you guys, because if they were, they would be here.
You mean the other hotel?
Yeah, we are there.
Okay. You mentioned Rio. Good question. I think I remember the JHTA. I don't know if they come to meetings. Are they part of the fabric of Negril? I don't know.
But they are having a business in Negril.
Okay, let me explain something to you. You have different kinds of investors in Negril. You have investors who come to Negril to take what they can and then gone. They're Spanish hotels. They're Canadian hotels. Do you think they care? Once they make their money and gone 10 years from now, they don't care. But guess what? We have a small hotel. Right? I went to the beach, mash up and gone. I went Negril, mash up and gone. We don't have nowhere else to go because we put all our lifelong investment in Negril. We don't have nowhere else to go.
So that means you're not going to find about the meeting.
Of course, we invited everybody. We had a
So
strong
you should find some extra push out there to go.
Well, maybe they think we're too small. I don't know.
Hello, good evening. I am a resident of the years now, I'm here from 82. And I have seen some great problems that we have in the And what I am seeing first, number one, I would ask on a daily basis, where is the Chamber of Commerce? And you see, a lot of what we facing in Negril, it is because of lack of leadership. Now, the people who are in position to do what is to be done, you don't see them. And when they stood back, even if this fisherman is speaking, I think it is so unfair to go on the beach and mash up these people place like that. Because only to realize we have we have a climate change that affects everybody. And I don't believe that it's only the fisherman building should be torn down yesterday. Because I would ask this question, I can remember, we have a meeting, same place here in Negril, that tells us years gone that it is dangerous to build close by the sea, or it is dangerous to perform any business close within the sea. And I can tell you, there was a gentleman here by the name of Mr. Lindsay. He was being terrorized on a daily basis of having a building in the sea. And you know what I see after 20 years? The Chinese came and built a 3-story in the sea. Is that building doing anything to the environment? I would ask. Number two, they are speaking about damaging the environment. I am living on the non-Pepperell area, and I know I have done something wrong. Because I know dumping up that area, it affects the sea today. But guess what I see? I see a Chinaman came and dumped up right where the next man was, who get noticed to leave because he would be a threat to the climate change. And what I'm wondering is, climate change affects certain people? I want to know. So we just can't sit down and believe that, okay, because Mr. Chin have the money. If it's a Mars there, I live on the Mars there and I want to move because I realize what it's doing to the sea. Does any of you people see the day that Mr. Chin dumped about years last year doing? He's doing the same thing that I do. And we have problems in Negril that we need to take care of. And let us not rush to abolish development. Because Negril run down to the dogs right now. Even the beach can show you. And when I walk on the beach, I say, I think Chamber of Commerce dead. And we have more like Chamber of Commerce in Negril and watch people come in Negril, dump up Negril, capture Negril, do all manner of things, and all of these leaderships kept quiet under the name of PMP and Negril. So we have problems with Negril, my darling, where you just can't think you can condemn and develop it because we need it. But how are we going to start?
Okay, you tell me so many things, I'm trying to remember all of them. I agree with you. We also have to remember, I want to remind everybody about this. The Chamber of Commerce was started in 1983 by 5 people. All of those 5 people are now over the age of 70. They have worked for this community non-stop. They are so frustrated because there are rules and regulations, there is the law, and they have been flouted at every turn. They are tired, right? They have tried to find young people to come and help work with them, and they've had pure greed. Now it's those same gentlemen who are now still trying to resuscitate the Chamber of Commerce. But over the years, they have not gotten help. And yes, all the things you mentioned, they have spoken about it to the authorities over and over and over again. But they are not the police, they are not the government, and they do not have the right to come and bulldoze somebody's property, but they cannot do that. The law has to do it, the government has to do it, and each consecutive government has closed their eyes to what has taken place. And I think it's time we all wake up, but only 5 people can do it. 5 people cannot do it.
Where is the MP? You asked about that's the Chamber of Commerce. Where is the MP? I don't even know his name.
Instead,
Well, this is what I was saying to the fisherman earlier on. We do not have proper representation in Negril because we are not the major city in neither Hanover or Westmoreland. We're just tagged on, and actually until we realize and we make the politicians realize that we are actually the driving force of the Westmoreland and Hanover parishes. We supply the taxes to run each parish, and we supply maybe 90%. And until we start talking to our government, doesn't matter which party, they need to wake up and realize that we are a powerful force, but until we harness our own power, and until we are prepared to say something and do something about it, 5 people in the Chamber of Commerce cannot do it.
Okay, my darling, I agree. But right now, I like that message that you spoke about our government. You know what I am demanding in a short way? I am demanding that these people place who get demolished under an illegal system. Because we can't have so many people around in the town. And we just pitch on the poorer class and make them any models and the wall. We just let them damage. I think the government should recompense these people. And we will be asking for that to be done. We don't just tear up poor people and we have the richer class of people sitting down with the same amount of damage what the poor man do. So we are demanding that something be done and recompense for them too. This is not the way we go about treating our people as a government. That we need them. It is a pity the member of parliament is not here.
Well, he was invited, everybody was invited.
Okay.
And it's
They need to be here.
It's a public meeting.
Yes.
Anybody could have
And
come.
we are asking that these messages sent to them, that they don't stand by and watch people damaging like this and expect that crime is going to have a wing and fly away. So we're asking for more assistance from the authorities. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any more questions? Yes, sir.
Just as an aside, I lived in Negril as long as a lady, but I quickly worked at the law in the Negril as law-abiding and the rest of the But this is my serious point. This public meeting, I think we need to be really careful that we don't effectively all turn up there and just give them a chance to tick box. You guys give them a couple of uncomfortable hours and then they just get on and do what they're going to do anyway. You guys have done impressive research in terms of the problems this breakwater will cause. And it's actually two sets of evils. There's the evil of the breakwater itself and the evil of the enabling works that they have to do to be able to put at that breakwater. We need to, I would suggest, we need to give them a list of those concerns and say, we're not just going to give you our concerns, we want answers to those concerns at this meeting. Otherwise, we'll all have just played into their hands, and we'll have attended a meeting, and they'll get on and do what they want to do anyway.
Thank you. That's why we wanted everybody to understand what is going to take place. And that's why we held this meeting, because they will come down and they'll do a beautiful presentation and we'll all sit there dumbstruck and we won't know what to say. And that's why we wanted to enable you to make decisions, to go home, think about it, make your own decisions on what you think is right and what you think is wrong, and come with your questions. Most of the questions have been very, very sensible questions.
And what we need to understand that 5 permits and fines for people to come together as a team to fight, because we're thinking about chamber of commerce and all of that. We need to come together as a team and work in interest of giving a card and fighting together. We're not talking about chamber of commerce and government. We are government ourselves, we put them here so we can hold back from them. What things that have to work on here.
We talked about organizing. Okay, about organizing. One of the things we've done on Facebook, of course, has been to push the petition. Also, I don't see a sign-in sheet here on Facebook. Maybe I missed it. You know, we can actually have petitions here designed by people, sign-in sheets, so when you walk one of those meetings, you're ready. They're seeing black and white people. People's names, you know.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. We had another meeting a couple of weeks ago. We did have the sheets. We forgot to bring them this time. I'm sorry. But we do have the petition online. It's with Hough. And if you go on the Facebook page, Negril Breakwater, that's P-U-L-S-E, you will see the petition there as well.
This should actually have its own page. It shouldn't get connected to another page. It should have its own page so that people who are halfway to front can go directly there and not have to keep all the other information about other things that have nothing to do with it.
Okay, the person who sets up the Facebook page is here and he's taking notes of what you're saying.
Yes. One question. Did you do a marriage study and a degree for a marriage study? Did people do a study and a degree before they come to the sampling of the barrier of the breakwater?
No, that's one of the issues, that there's been no survey done of marine life, of ecosystems out there. So that is a big concern.
Is there another survey done about the reason for the erosion of the beach? The reason for the erosion of the beach?
There are several studies being done. Several.
And the result? The result?
Erosion is caused, a beach is a moving area of sand. Will naturally erode and then creep to build up back. We have done things here that have caused the erosion to take place to the point where there's a net loss of sand. It's not coming back. Things like draining the river, dredging, draining the morass. We've pulled out the seagrass beds. The root systems keep the sand in place, reduce the sediment, keep the water clear. When they die off, because they're not all perennial, they crystallize and become sand. We overfish. The parrotfish can produce up to 200 pounds of sand a year per fish if they're allowed to grow. And we're killing off all the fish because although the marine park was designated in 1998, it is not established. There are no rangers. People are out there with nets. People are spearfishing. People are dropping pots out there in protected areas in the sanctuary where the fish are supposed to be given a chance to breathe and grow. The nutrient-rich water that comes down out of the river causes algae to grow on the reef. So the reef, which was a natural breakwater and helped stop erosion on the beach, is no longer there.
One more question. Do you know the amount of rivers running into the early 70s, the amount of rivers running into the long beach?
What we're trying to tell you is that this river here was not really a river. It became a river because in 1959 when they built the road, they dredged it and made it and created that river. It was not a river. It was just an overflow.
Yes, I understand all of that, but there were several overflows about it.
There were overflows, yes.
Yes.
There were 4.
And how much?
4.
No.
So Arthur is saying 4, and I think he's been here longer than any of us.
I said 6.
6. Okay, all right. He says 4, 6, but we're not really rivers.
6 of them. We started from the Salt Creek. We have one by the Grand Leader Hotel. We have one by the House, what we call it, House there. And we have one by Sheffield. And we have one by Breakwater and this one here. If we close all...
There was one by T-Water, but...
There was one. I can't really do that, but I won't get into that. And there's another thing. We keep on closing all the water flow. There's too much water happening at the time.
But actually they cut canals and put in locks and they're draining more. It is drier than it should be. So the plants that should be growing in there to filter the water are not growing in there. They've been taken over by invasive species which do not do the job of the plants that are growing there if it was healthy.
Yes, I understand. What I'm trying to say is, I believe that the erosion of the beach is sort of like too much water behind the beach.
No, you're wrong on that, sir. Sorry.
Why?
Hi, my name is Julie, and I own an apartment over Castle and Pedestrian through the city road in 2000. I tried cases for many years, just from my first periods of exposure to the situation. We have discussed it in detail with Hough and just before this has come up as well. So I just have a suggestion that all this is layperson's opinion so far. The government is going to come with their expert. It is my suggestion to you that you get, first of all, a lovely presentation about Miami Beach and community to show them what they have done as a suggestion. That's proof that this works. They can contact some of those people. I would have also been at one and have an expert here. You know, somebody maybe has done it on the thing that can uphold their opinions, not everybody. But, you know, not that they should relate people don't need to say that. They understand. But the government's going to do somebody that they paid. One of my entire cases years ago, I had somebody that paid too to support my position. And the other thing too, they don't think politicians are going to do people on the road. There has to be somebody that you can influence to be here. An expert on politicians to be here. Okay, in the early 90s, we recognized that we had a problem with beach erosion and we formed the Negril Beach Restoration Committee. Anyway, we commissioned the company and we commissioned Smith Warner International, an international company, to come in and do research and give us suggestions. And the suggestions they gave us was beach nourishment. They stressed that if we did beach nourishment, we must also deal with the morass, so that the water quality in the bay would help development of reefs, because the beach nourishment would give us approximately 20 years to fix the water quality and to fix the reef, because the reef is what protects us during storms. The next proposal was the beach nourishment with 9 nearshore breakwaters, which are much smaller than these proposed. And this was only if we realized that we were still losing too much sand. So it was the second recommendation. So what the government did is took that proposal and said that they were using it. But what they proposed is two enormous outshore breakwaters that has nothing to do with the original study and the original proposal. So we have had scientific or qualified people look at the problem already and give us that advice. That's why we asked for beach management.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's great and I'm happy that it happened. I think you should have one of those people involved in that study here to help us discuss on that. They already have a meeting.
Yeah, we will ask somebody to come when there's not that I'm saying we should have somebody here now, but we couldn't afford to pay for somebody to come here now. But when we meet the government, we will try and get somebody who is, hopefully we'll get somebody from Smith Warner as well. I don't know. No politician depends on Negril for their seat, and that's what we've said already. There's not enough votes in Negril. There's not enough votes in Negril. All the votes are in Grange. So if you want to change anything, you have to go to Grange today.
I'd like to ask about the end of the sea that the sewage treatment plant in the river that comes down the sea. That all that to do with the reef.
Yes, it has a tremendous amount to do with the reef. There was funds put aside to, I think, move it. Recently I've been trying to find out what has been done because it was sinking. From what I understand, the money was identified, but nothing has been done, and it is a very serious problem that we need to deal with. But you know, we can't do everything at once. It's
dangerous.
It is, yes.
You know, the fish that in the river. So you have to do something about it before you can put it down and you risk it on the reef.
That's one of the most important things. That's why I keep talking about. Yes. I agree with you. That's what we're saying. In fact, I would prefer if we took the money to build the breakwaters to fix the sewage plant. I would much prefer that.
All right, to put a positive spin on the future of this challenge, the Gateway Theater would like to end with a natural victory dance. Gateway, collect your outfits. I think they've been appropriated by a few kids.